What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Flex Friday. And today we're going to go pretty deep on cardio, all right? Now, as always, I got to throw it out there. If you want the full training course, you got to go to supermanshred.com. I've got a full masterclass up there, completely free to watch, but we're going to go a lot deeper in that masterclass than we're able to or have the time to here on social media. But with that being said, I want to talk about cardio because it's very commonly misunderstood. A lot of people think that cardio is the best way to lose fat. It's the best way to get my abs to show. It's the best way to just get better endurance. And the mental image of cardio is running on a treadmill, right? Just 7 miles an hour for hours and hours and hours. And we got to become marathon runners if we ever want to actually achieve any good cardio results. And the reality is that what I just described is probably the worst way to get any results in terms of fat loss, in terms of even endurance to a certain extent. It's just not the best way to go about it. But for sure, if you're going after aesthetics, steady state cardio is not what you want to do. And the reason it's called steady state cardio is because although your heart rate is elevated, it's pretty steady. It's going to stay at that elevated level. This goes for running, jogging, biking, elliptical, stair stepper, like anything that's going to be long distance that, yes, it is a cardio exercise, but it's sustained. That would fall into the category of steady state cardio. And it's not the best way to go about it, okay? What really happens is the body has two separate systems to deal with challenging cardio movements. The first one is called anaerobic, and that takes place within the first 2 minutes of exercise. The first 2 minutes of any type of exercise, but especially cardio exercise. The first 2 minutes, okay? That is a completely separate bodily system than aerobic cardio. Aerobic is from that 2 minute mark and beyond, okay? Once you get into that aerobic zone, your body is chilling, right? It's producing the energy, ATP synthesis is going on through a bunch of different processes. We're breaking up carbs, we're breaking up all sorts of things in the body, but we're generating that energy, okay? That is not the best for losing fat. That first 2 minutes, that's when the fat furnace is on, okay? The first 2 minutes is when we're in the anaerobic zone, and basically what's happening is our body's systems have not warmed up yet. And because they haven't warmed up yet, our body says, oh my God, we need energy right now. We don't have time to go through this whole ATP synthesis process. My machinery has not warmed up yet, right? And so what it does is it busts up fat cells, and it releases energy in that process, and that is what fuels the body during that anaerobic zone. Now, the reason that's important is because you're going to burn more fat in that first 2 minutes than you possibly could even from minute 2 to 5. Like, even though it's a lot less time span, because of the process that the body's going through, you're actually burning more fat when you have that quick start to the cardio, right? So what we want to do is called HIIT cardio, high intensity interval training. Easy for me to say. High intensity interval training. What that's going to do is spike your heart rate, let it go back down. Spike it, let it go back down. Spike it, let it go back down. We're trying to recreate that moment of the first 2 minutes where we're in that anaerobic zone so that our body continuously busts up those fat cells and use them as energy rather than using carbohydrates or any other form of energy throughout that ATP synthesis process. And the way that that works is not only do we burn more fat because we're recreating that anaerobic zone, we burn more fat while we're doing the cardio, but throughout the rest of the day, it actually affects our metabolism. And so our resting caloric burn actually increases throughout the rest of the day when we do high intensity interval training. So some people will ask, well, what's the best way to do that? I'm a huge, huge fan of sprints. And if you can sprint uphill, it's over. It's over. It's over. You may as well go buy the new pant size now because you're going to be dropping weight like crazy, all right? The reason that hill sprints are so good is because it mixes, obviously, that quick burst of anaerobic exercise, right? And then all you would do is sprint up the hill, walk down, let your heart rate reset, and then boom, up, walk down, take your time, catch your breath, boom, right? That's the way that works. But the great thing about a hill sprint is because you're uphill, it's almost like doing lunges or squats on the way up too, because you're fighting extra gravity by going uphill. And so there's a hint of resistance training on the legs in that as well. Okay. And resistance training, as we know, creates muscle synthesis. The more muscle that you have, the higher your resting caloric burn rate. The higher your resting caloric burn rate, the less cardio you have to do to maintain a certain aesthetic or physique. Okay. So why am I saying all of this? Because sprints, and especially uphill sprints or even Stairmaster sprints, if you got a really fast Stairmaster machine and you're like reasonably athletic and coordinated and you can like run up those things and then slow it down and then run up and slow down, phenomenal method to both build strength in the lower body, and yes, it will build endurance too. Not to the same extent as running a marathon or anything like that, but it will help. But most of all, it's going to absolutely shed fat off of the body. All right. This is the only cardio technique that you need to use if you're focused on aesthetics and the physique side of things. If you're focused on endurance, then there's other techniques that we can get into. And I would encourage you again to go to supermanshred.com to learn more about those. But for physique and aesthetics, this is the way to do it, y'all. So shorter video today. I don't want to go too deep into this. But again, if you're finding yourself doing a lot of this steady state stuff, the walk on the treadmill at 10 incline, 3 miles an hour, that's such a fad now. I don't know where it came from. It's not as good as uphill sprints. I don't know why everybody's like, oh, you're just going to lose so much fat. You see a lot of TikTokers talking about it. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. Your heart rate's not hardly going to get up above 90. It's not going to do anything. Uphill sprints are the way to go. All right. Not to mention the resistance training aspect of it as well, and the functional aspect of it to put on top of that. So 100% endorsed by Superman. This is the way to go for your cardio training. If you got value out of this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with somebody else that can benefit from it as well. And I'll see you on the next Flex Friday.